Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Divide and Conquer as we are continue as the Orcs of Gundabad. So, here we are in the most northern region of Mithlond and we're starting with the faction overview of Gundabad. As you see right away, as Gundabad you start with one region, Mount Gundabad. So starting conditions are pretty small. And one region, small army, 4 units in here, 4 units in here, and only a general in here. So not a big starting army, but you will see that you can train quite a few troops right away. So small starting size, small starting army. Then dealing with your bodyguards. In here we have King Mazok, and I want to get him out. We'll start with Pale Orcs, which is one of your best infantry units available. In here we have Marauder Chief Gozuk, who is your faction heir, who starts with Orc Vengers, a very good strike infantry. And last but not least, we have a general called Hazolk, who is a ranged general with Black Shield archers. Do note, none of this is your regular bodyguards, who are the mountain guard. So you start with all unique generals in your starting conditions. And then dealing with family tree, you have one as Dulguldur, because you have a king and you have a family tree. It's not very big. Both of your generals all of your generals are in there. There's this hideous thing that's represent the small orcs, and the orc females are all the same for the adult and juvenile ones. Small backstory for Gundabad is that it is all fan fiction, so basically nothing has been basically nothing is to a certain story of Tolkien. It all is all made up by the team, which is really nice. It has a really nice story. It basically says that the Orcs of Gundabad came down from the frozen north, where they have been there since the beginning of the First Age. After the wars in Beleriand, they came down and came to seek revenge to the dwarves, and well, basically just start their own empire. So they are in here for their own. Therefore, we go right to diplomacy. You are not allied to anyone. You're pretty much neutral, but you have this ancient hatred for the dwarves. So you start at war with both Erebor and Ar-Adunaim as your enemies. You're not allied to the Anduin, but you're not at war with them either. And the same is there for Angmar. So you have a pretty much to choose what route you're gonna follow. Although you tend to be more aligned with the evil factions, basically because of your culture and the way the game works. But if you want to ally with the Anduin, it is a possibility. It's not very likely they will accept, but it is certainly possible. All right, let's go back to my list of things I need to follow, and that is the geographical area, defensibility, and the green books. We are up here in the north, and well, as an area, we have pretty defensible. There are only 2 paths from the western side through the gap of Litosh and up from the north through the mountains. To the south we have Skata's Gap, which gives a lot of hill fights, so pretty defensible there. And there's a small entrance in these are the Grey Mountains, the Mithrane Ithil. No, it's not. Something like that. I will come up when the video is over, most likely. But the Grey Mountains up here, there's also a small passage, so it is pretty defensible. Then the green books, who can be found in here as well. There still need to be a description made for Gundabad. Apparently it hasn't been done yet. And Mount Gun, it only has one region, Mount Gundabad, which is mountainous. So this area is seen as a mountainous area. Right, then dealing with expansion. Well, there are a few settlements dotted around who are rebel. Berserkle, Yulestone, Danes Halls. Further down south, Goblin Town. And there's something special about Goblin Town. Normally it will be taken in the auto expansion, in first turn auto expansion. But as you see, we're on second turn, so the auto expansion has been done. And Goblin Town, when you play as Gundabad, Goblin Town will not fall to the Goblins of Moria. It will be Rebel Health. So there is a chance for you to take Goblin Town quite early doors. And that has a big advantage for you, and I will come to that with the scripts and gameplay events moment, where I will explain how one of Gundabad's scripts works. But also Berserkle, Yulestone and Danes Halls are there for you to take, but there are a few pretty huge armies dotted around, so be careful for them. Then dealing with custom battle maps, and well, you are in an area who has a pretty large amount of custom battle maps. Berserkle, Danes Halls, Goblin Town, Litosh, Khazad-Dûm, Mount Graham, Mount Gundabad, Danes Halls already said, Ar-Adunaim, with the board is not really custom, but it is a dwarven settlement, and there are not many of them. Erebor, Dale, Thunderous Halls, Eskarot, there will be a lot of variety in battle maps. Baron's Halls, I almost forgot. So there are a lot of variety in battle maps for you. So don't worry about that. Then dealing with buildings and cultures. Alright, let's take a look at it. Well, as Gundabad, you have a regular recruitment line, so the stables, barracks and rangers. You can use them from the other factions who use them as well. And I think except for the Anduin Vale, all of your neighbors also uses the regular lines. For your barracks, I think there is a requirement of, yes, so you only need the town hall line to be able to upgrade your barracks, your ranges as well, and you only have one there of stables, so you can build them right away. The beast cage requires the guard barracks, so it requires the second tier of barracks before you can build the beast cage. Then dealing with blacksmiths, as an orc faction you have access to 3 tiers of barracks: the leather tanner, the leather worker and the blacksmith. But you will have your own unique upgrade for your armor, and I will come in that in just a moment. You're not restricted in farming, which is called food production. It's not farm for you, it's the hunters. It's meat and hunters building. The storehouse is the highest tier, which provides a for production. You're not restricted in towns or castles, I think, anymore. No, you used to be, but you're not anymore. All restrictions have been removed from all the factions, so they will have access to the highest tier of both cities and castles, but some factions need to unlock it. You are not one of them, so you have access to the stronghold and the highest tier of city, which is the huge encampment, right away. In regards of ports and ships, you do have a port, one tier, but you don't have access to ships. You are not known for your seafaring abilities. You do have also a building of sea trade, which only increase tradable goods. Some factions also receive a flat income bonus, but you're not one of them. Right, then dealing with mines, short thing to tell about that. You have one of the best mines available. I think only the dwarves have better mines regarding to income, but you are pretty good miners as well. Culture building, I think I already mentioned it with Dulguldur, but you are a faction of Melkor's Shadow, so you have the Shrine of Melkor, the Temple of Melkor, and the Dark Temple of Melkor, which gives at the highest tier public order bonus, reduced retraining, and a population growth, which is really nice. And I always think this is kind of a face. It's kind of a face with the eyes and mouth, which is really funny. I always see a face in there. So, but I think it's one of the better culture bonuses you can get. Population growth, public order bonus are always great bonuses to have. So really go for that third tier of culture. Then dealing with guilds, you only have one of them, the Fighter's Pit, which is quite easily to obtain and will fill in your roster with trash units, because you basically don't have trash units. You have a really decent army, as we will see in the second half of this video, with reasonable stats, and you are not the hoardish Moria or Mordor spammy faction that needs hordes and hordes of armies to really accomplish something. You have a pretty good roster actually, but the Fighter's Pit will fill in your ranks with some trash units who needs to be there for the dying. So you have 3 tiers: Brawler's Pit, the Brawler's Hall, and the Bulk's Hall. First one can be built everywhere, numerous amounts. The second tier can only be built once for every faction. And the third tier can only be built once in the whole world. So you share this. I think not all of the evil factions get the third tier of Fighter's Pit. The good factions don't get it anyway, so you're only competing with the evil factions for this highest tier of guild. And I guess Mordor will get it, maybe Isengard, but I think that's about it. So the chances are pretty huge you will be able to get this one as well. Right, then I need to talk about one last unique building, and that is the Avengers Guild. And I see it's still 3 tiers. There were in comparison with last version, there were discussions that they would get it down to 2, because the experience doesn't do anything. But apparently they kept it in 3. So I'm not sure why, but I don't care. There are 3 tiers, and this has something to do with the background of your faction, the hate you have for the dwarves. And once you conquered a dwarven town, a well-known dwarven town, you will be able to build the Avengers Guild. Basically, your smiths gather form a dwarven armor and made it into armor that is useful for you. First tier, it gives a melee weapon bonus, and it gives a very strong strike unit, the Orc Avengers. The second tier, well, it doubles the amount of Orc Avengers available, and it would give 1 experience, but I think this in practice doesn't work very well, apparently, and that's the reason why they wanted to cut it down to 2 tiers and remove 1 tier, but apparently they kept it in, and I don't care. The last and highest tier is the Bulk's Chamber, and that gives the Scavenged Dwarven Plate, which is another upgrade for your armor. And it already says that now you are able to equip your warriors with Dwarven armor. So, a lot of units will also get a visual upgrade with the Dwarven armor, which is really nice to see. You really see the dwarvish looks of it. I think you will find it already in this Orc Avengers, which is a really cool feature. Those are just the details you really like to see in a game like this, and I really enjoy that. Do I need to say any more? I think I do. I think you used to have 3 tiers of beast, the beast case, but they have turned it down to 2, and the first tier gives whole trolls and the second tier gives snow trolls. Nothing interesting, nothing really new there. That will conclude the building side of this video. Then we go to scripts and gameplay events, and yes, Gundabad has one really key gameplay event. As I already mentioned before, you came down from the frozen north, no allegiance to anyone else, only to Melkor himself. So Sauron, you don't care about him. You do know him through stories and legends, but you don't have any allegiance to him. You solely came here for your own what's the name? I forgot the word. For your own pride, for your own gains, for your own empire. And as Gundabad, you have a kind of a subjugation system. So you will be able to turn certain factions through your will and get access to certain units of them. The first one, and that is why Goblin Town will not fall to the Moria in the auto expansion when you play as Gundabad, is units from the goblins. So once you take Goblin Town, you get access to the Snaga units. Well, and again, they will be able to fill in your trash units. So Goblin Town, really go for it. You will not get many of them, but the replenishment is alright. It's not great. I think it's about 10 to 50 turns, which is for Snaga units terrible. Terrible long, and it will take a time before you will be able to recruit a lot of them. But you will have access to the Snaga units once you take Goblin Town. If you go even further down the line, and you also take Khazad-Dûm, and I think it doesn't matter whether you take Khazad-Dûm West or Khazad-Dûm itself. But once you take it, you will get access to the other goblin units. And I think I have only seen 1 or 2 units. I'm sure you get access to the mountain Uruks. And it says that you should also have access to the Azog Defilers, but I couldn't find them in there. So it might be that there's some kind of bug that allows you not to train, that doesn't allow you to train them. But you should be able to get them. And maybe I overseen it and they were listed the turn after I took Khazad-Dûm. Because most of the times you get the message of you conquer the city, you put the end turn in, and you get the message that you have access to a certain breed of orcs. So a message pop-ups when you took Goblin Town, the Snaga, and it tells you that now you're able to take advantage of this and train Snaga units. Khazad-Dûm allows you to train Goblin units. If you then turn on Dol Guldur, you have access to certain Dol Guldur units, which are mainly some mainstream units, the Uruk Slayers, the Mirkwood Uruks, and some Goblin Hunters. And I think the Hunters are the Javelin unit, but you also have access to the Archer variant of it. So I think 4 units of mainstream and the Castellans of Dol Guldur are also available to you, but only from Dol Guldur. Same with Goblin Town and Khazad-Dûm. You will be able to train Snaga units in Khazad-Dûm, but you won't be able to train the Goblin units in Goblin Town. So the Mountain Uruks will not be trainable in Goblin Town, but you will be able to train them in Khazad-Dûm. Dol Guldur only gives access to the Dol Guldur units. If you go even further and take what should be make more sense, that you first take Isengard, then you will be able to train some low tier Isengard units, the Reavers, the Uruk Raiders, the Uruk Archers. Not the Uruk High, but that are low tier Isengard units. If you're not done with your conquest by then, and you continue and move on to Mordor, there are 2 stages in there. The first one is take the Morannon. If you took the Morannon, you will have access to the low tier Mordor units, the Orc Host, Morannon Guard, the really trashy units of Mordor. Besides that, the Morannon also gives you access to Sauron's Will. The second stage is that you take Barad-dûr. If you take Barad-dûr, you will also have access to the Black Uruk units. And Barad-dûr itself gives you access to not the Great Beast. Or maybe do also the Great Beast. But besides that, you will also have access to one other unique unit only in Barad-dûr. And I think it are the Grey Beast, but it could also be that there is, in addition to the Grey Beast, also another unit available to you. If you then also take Minas Morgul, you also have access to the Morgul's Chosen. So it doesn't give you another tier of Mordor troops, but it also gives you access to the Morgul's Chosen. I've wrote it down here. The Blackgate gives you access to Sauron's Will, Barad-dûr to the Great Beast, and Minas Morgul to the Morgul's Chosen. So there is a lot of there's a lot to gain by, well, basically backstabbing your evil, backstabbing other evil factions, because even you can even backstab Angmar. If Angmar is dead and you control the Rhuadar lands, you have also access to the Rhuadar units. I almost forgot them, but also they are at your disposal. But for that there are two conditions. Hold the Rhuadar lands, and Angmar needs to be gone. I think there's even a third condition, is that you are at war with the Dunedain. I think those three conditions need to be ticked before you can get access to the Rhuadar units. Where can you get those the subjugated units? They come from the Town Hall line. So if you have the slave pit from, for example, Goblin Town, you'll see that enables training of the Snagas in this case. So they are listed in the Town Hall line. Alright, I think that is everything we need to know about Gundabad. It is a really different faction from all the other orc factions, where you really where by them you really rely on numbers, but Gundabad also has a lot of quality troops, where most orc factions rely on numbers trash troops. You even lack a certain amount of trash troops. So you are really this elite troop faction, orcish faction, together with, well, actually Isengard, who also relies on good armor troops. Although you don't rely on armor. That's the difference between Gundabad and Isengard. You have good elite troops, but they are not really well armored. Especially on the lower tiers, you will see armor is not your thing. Overall, a challenging, fun faction. You should really give it a try and play around with it. So I will now end the campaign side of this video, and I will see you on the battle map side in just a moment. We started right away. You see that we are pretty limited in the cavalry department, because the two units in the back are beasts and not cavalry. We only have some wargs. And also that archer-wise, we have a few archer options, but it's not too many. And then let's just dive in with our first unit, which is the Orc Fighters, which is one of the few trash units you have available, well, pretty right away. Not exactly, you need to earn the guild, but it's a very easy guild to obtain. So with the 6 attack, a 7 charge and a 5 defense, they're there to die. There are 225 of them, so they have enough numbers to die, and well, pretty trashy unit. Average morale, impetuous morale response, so they deal with morale shocks pretty well. They are 2% faster than other infantry, which is, well, a little bit odd number, but whatever. Nothing special besides that, just trash. They are supported by a javelin variant of it, so that at least they have some javelins to throw at. They have a 3 melee attack, a 6 missile attack, a 3 charge, and a 4 defense. So they are arguably worse. But they have 3 javelins. They have poor morale, impetuous morale spawns, 3 missiles, 55 meter range, average accuracy. Again, just there to die. And before they die, try to hit something with the javelins. Then we come to your mainstream units, and we start with these. Well, these are 2 units, but they are the same. Because I had like to show some visual differences with an armor upgrade, but honestly, I don't think it really applies to this tier. But although, well, it is, you slightly see it. It's not too major, but you see that these guys, well, barely any of them wear helmets. And if they do, it's kind of this cap thing. If you look here, there are a few with helms. And see here, this one guy who also is the captain, but he really has a dwarvish helm. But there's slightly some more armor involved in here, but it's not too many. We are talking about the Snow Orc Spears with a 5 attack, a 5 charge, and a 15 defense. You see straight away that these are no trash troops. These are, well, quite equal to Gondor militia units. I don't have the stats straight up my head, but I think the territorial guardsmen are in this same range of stats. But do note, the majority of their defense is in defense skills, which is only applied on melee fighting. They are barely armored, and these guys do have a shield, so it is slightly deceptive, but they are vulnerable to archer fire. Not deceptive, deceiving, because it really looks really good, really equal. 7 against archers, 8 in melee, even more, 11 in melee, 15 if you count the way the shield works, but it doesn't. I don't think the shield always applies in melee. So it looks really good, but they are still vulnerable to archer fire. They have good morale spawns. They're slightly slower than other infantry units, and because they are spears, they have a bonus against horses, camels, and wargs. They are supported by a double yielding X unit. But I don't think they are. I think they are seen as a sword and board unit. With an 8 attack, a 5 charge, and a 12 defense, they are reasonable. They are decent units. They are not equal to dwarf and mid-tier units. They will die, but we are not in your mainstream unit yet. Again, 12 defense, but the majority in defense skill. So watch out for the archer units of the Anduin Vale, who are now pretty organized in their roster, with the different barracks being focused on either javelins and archers, or cavalry, or infantry. So vulnerable to archer fire, that is what I want to say. With only a 3 defense against archers. Be careful. They have good morale spawns, just a good all-round, pretty good all-round unit. But get them in melee as soon as possible, because there is where they will earn their stripes. They are supported by a strike unit, the Mountain Orc Hunters, with a 7 attack, a 7 charge, and a 5 defense. These guys have one purpose: strike into the enemy, deal as much damage as possible, withdraw, and do it again. The 7 attack is high, and it is armor piercing as well, so they will do some damage. But as soon as they are in prolonged melee, they will die quite easily. Because they have no armor, they have no shields, they only have defense skill. They are unprotected against archers. Archers will have a field day against these guys. It doesn't matter which archer, even Snaga will kill these guys without hesitating. They do frighten nearby enemies. They have good morale, impetuous morale spawns. They are quite some faster than other infantry units. And they come from mountain regions only. So again, look into the green books and find out what regions you are in. On this tier, we are supported by the first archer tier, the Snow Orc Scouts. With a 5 attack, a 4 missile attack, a 3 charge and a 10 defense, they are good early tier archers. But yet again, not very well armored, vulnerable against archers. And they have good morale spawns, slightly slower than other infantry. 28 missiles, 180 range, and an average accuracy, which is actually really good for an orc unit, for an orc archer unit. And again, you see that Gundabad is not the well-known horde orcish faction. They have really quality. A range of 180 meters is pretty decent for an early tier archer unit. The accuracy is average, which I think is the worst average possible. Because as I have mentioned before, even within the different tiers of accuracy, there is a difference between the ratio playing. An average archer, an average elven archer is way better than an average orcish archer. So there is a difference in between the races as well. I think the orcs have the worst accuracy of all races, except for maybe the dwarves, but I'm not sure. So, pretty decent archer units, nevertheless. Also here we got your only cavalry unit, the Warg Marauders, with an 8 attack, a 5 charge and 11 defense. Well, they are early tier cavalry. There's not much to say about it. They use the camel animation, and they also have the ability to scare horses, so they will perform better against horses in theory, but it really depends. Most of the time I don't really see them perform much better against horses, but they should. They have average morale, impetuous morale spawns 5% faster than other cavalry, but again I think that is because they use the camel animation and they need to compensate it, because it works differently than a horse animation. And a bonus against horses. So this is basically your militia tier units. Now we go up to your mainstream units, and again I choose 2 units of Black Shield Warriors, 1 not upgraded and 1 upgraded, and now you clearly see the difference. These are, well, they are armored with, well, I think it's leather-like something thing, and here you see the clear armor. A few have those really dwarvish helmets. This guy was just looking away, but also the guy behind it, and a few guys behind there as well. The more chainmail armor. So there is a really you really have a visual upgrade in between these units. But we only addressed one of them, the not upgraded one. And we have the Black Shield Warriors with an 11 attack, a 6 charge and a 20 defense. Again, more than decent units. These units are comparable to Gondor infantry. But again, slightly lower on the really armor skills, armor side, and more on the defense skill side. So you really see that as Gundabad, you are more veteran as warriors, and you don't rely on the armor. Good morale, very good morale spawns. Slightly slower because we are orcs. Then dealing with the Black Shield Warband. It's a spear variant, a more defensive side. With an 8 attack, a 6 charge, a 22 defense. You see some less defense, some less attack, more defense. But all of the defense is again in the defense skill. Very good morale spawns, and again as spears, a bonus against mounts. Then dealing with the archer variant of the Black Shield units, the Black Shield Archers, with a 10 melee attack, a 6 missile attack, a 4 charge and a 15 defense. These guys are not only good archers, but they are also skilled when they are done fighting, done shooting. They have very good morale spawns, 32 missiles, 200 meter range and high accuracy, and that is a true difference with all the other orc factions. You will find, I dare to say that you will not find any archer anywhere in any faction that can give you these stats: 200 meter range, high accuracy. There's no orcish unit equal to them. I think the next unit that is closest to them is not an orcish unit, it's a human unit, and it's the Lothlorien. And that's the only evil unit I would say that can compare to them. I might be wrong in there though, because maybe the Dark Blades of Angmar will give you similar stats. But there's no orcish unit that can give you these numbers, and again, it really shows you that Gundabad is not about the hoarding, but it's about the quality of troops. Really good units, and this is a unit you can start with, because Hazulk has this as his bodyguard, so use them wisely. Also here we have our first beast unit, the Half Trolls. And straight away you see this is a beast unit with beast stats, with a 15 melee attack, a 40 missile attack, a 12 charge and a 25 defense. These are just beasts. They have 3 hit points, and again the defense is all in defense skill. So in melee these guys will stand on their own, but in a takeoff missile against missile, they will perform abysmal. Just don't put them against other missile units. They are so easily being taken out by javelins. For example, have high damaging missiles, most of the time armor piercing, so they will die so easily to other javelins. But they are skilled against mounts, effective against armor, frightened nearby enemies. They are relentless. That means that they cannot be staggered, and what that means is sometimes a unit get hit and it can't move and it got stuck in hitting over and over again. These guys don't suffer from that mechanic. They have heavy thrown spears which knock down enemy targets. It doesn't mean they are killed, but they can stagger other units basically, which is a nice trait, but not very game changing actually. They have unwavering morale, impetuous morale spawns, 3 javelins, 100 meter range, high accuracy, and a bonus against all mounts. And when they are done, they use spears as well. So they are javelin and spear unit. Then coming up to your elite tier units, we start with one who will be available everywhere, and that are the Pale Orcs. Because there are no restrictions, not to the half trolls either. Yes, it requires a troll region, but it's very hard to determine which regions are troll regions. I'm not really sure how what they are, but I think mostly mountainous, mostly in the northern areas or in Mordor. You will not find any trolls in, for example, Osgiliath. I think you're most likely to find trolls in the mountains, northern regions, and Mordor. I think that's the area you need to look for troll regions. Then the Pale Orcs, which is your elite tier infantry and inspired by the Hobbit movie. With a 14 attack, an 11 charge, a 24 defense, and this is the stage where you see that you start getting armor, because from the 24 defense, half of it, almost half of it is armor, 9 of it is defense skill, and 4 of it is shield. So finally you see some armor in your army. Excellent morale, good morale response, just a good unit. They are supported. What shall we use first? The Orc Avengers, because they will be more widely available. The Orc Avengers, of course, come from the Avengers Guild, which can be built in major dwarven settlements. So Daneshalls, Erebor, Fahamkatol, Torrenshalls, Khazad-Dûm, the Iron Hills, which is not called the Iron Hills, it's called Kirikatol. So there you will find you can build the Avengers Guild, and they give you the Orc Avengers with a 13 attack, which is armor piercing, a 9 charge, a 21 defense. And this is where the where your unit differs from all the other units in your army. The Orc Avengers do rely on armor, because the majority is armor, and just a small part defense skill. They frighten nearby enemies, excellent morale, impetuous morale response. They are quite slower because they are pretty well armored. And again, they require the Avengers Guild, which can be built in major dwarven towns. And they really have this dwarven look with, well, this helmet they share with the Dragon Slayers, I guess. More dwarven helmets. Some dwarven armor. It's a really dwarvish inspired unit. Really cool, I think. And then last but not least, the Bolgs Champions. An Halberdier unit, which is your first unit that is Pike or Halberdier. Most factions do have either Halberdiers or Pikes. Not all of them, but the most does. And this is yours. With an 11 attack, which is armor piercing, a 6 charge, which is basically useless because charging with Halberdiers is pretty much impossible. And 21 defense, really good unit. They will be able to hold the line while your Orc Avengers charge from the flank, deals a huge amount of damage, and breaks the enemies. They have unwavering morale, good morale response, slightly slower than other infantry, bonus against mounts, and pretty cool looking. Also, I think both Bolgs Champions and the Pale Orcs are both inspired on the Hobbit movie. The Pale Orcs, I'm sure, but I would say the Bolgs Champions as well. A really cool looking unit. And then, last but not least, the Snow Trolls. Your second unit that comes from the Beast Cage. 42 attack, 13 charge, 36 defense. Again, a lot of it is in defense skills. But they have a 3 shield stat for, well, This excuse for a shield, actually. It barely protects his arm, his hand. So the 3 stat is uh, I understand that. 6 hit points, skilled against mounts, frightening by enemies, powerful charge, cannot be staggered, excellent morale, and locked. And do note, it is the first unit that has a locked morale. So you can, all the units will run, but this is the first unit who will fight to the death. It patches morale spawns 15% faster than other units. And yet again, I think that's because of the animation, because trolls are seen as infantry units. But they would move with the speed of infantry units. But they have these huge legs that would not be right for them to walk as slow as other infantry units. So I think that's why they have the speed bonus. And again, bonus against mounts. They come also from the troll region only. I forgot to mention about the Bulks champions, because they are restricted as well, and they only come from Gundabad. Do I need to say more? Yes, I do need to say more. Your king starts with the Pale Orcs as general, and your faction heir, I forgot his name, Marauders Chief Gozok, I think, start with Orc Avengers as his bodyguard. So you have 2 of your 3 elite tier units right from the beginning. And then a unit you don't start with, but is your general, the Mountain Guard. With a 15 attack, a 10 charge, and a 26 defense. They are actually pretty good, I think. I don't think I remember seeing such high stats as a general unit. So I think they are really powerful as general unit. I have no numbers up top of my head from every general. But I think they will... Oh no, they are skilled against mounts, so they will perform against cavalry generals as pretty good as well. So I'm really surprised that they are this good. I didn't think they were this good. But really good unit. No shield. Decent armor, but for a general, somewhat on the lower side. Excellent morale, but not locked. Good morale response. And a bonus against all mounts. So morale is not locked. That's good. So you can save your generals if you want to. In fact, all of your generals don't have locked morale, which is a really nice feature. Right. That is the overview for the troops of Gundabad. I hope you have enjoyed it. Because I... and think it's useful, because I really think it was. I've seen... there are a few nice features for Gundabad. And it has a really non-orcish feeling with an orcish faction, which is nice. I will hand everything over to the AI. I will turn around. And let's take a look at who we will be facing next week. And those who already know Divide and Conquer from earlier versions knows right away which faction we will be facing next week, because the golden color is so iconic for them. Everyone who knows a little bit about Divide and Conquer already knows which faction this will be. And there are a few green dotted around, but the gold is a huge giveaway. Because next week we will be facing Rhun, the faction of the Golden Dragon. Looks Sky and Rim. Just spear variant, I think. They seem to have javelins. I didn't remember having javelins. Yeah. Look, Skyrim. The orc trash already running. Oh, we have the Suryut chariot fighting against the trolls. That's not a matchup you would like to see. Because chariots are pretty weak. They tend to die rather easily. I think they have 3 hit points, but they're already down to only 6 of them. Let's say charge so. Yeah, do they have javelins? No, they don't. They have just spears. Yes, that's odd. I would say this is a javelin stance, but apparently it's not. Yeah. Charge with your walks into a spear unit. That's a good idea. Where are my old champions moving to? What are you doing? Just move on. Um, oh my god. Just go fight, my friends. Most likely the trolls will save the day anyway, but... Do I see some Lothlorien over there? No. Why don't you want to fight? Alright, but that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoy it. If so, please leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you soon in another video of Divide and Conquer. But until then, goodbye.